Are you still tracking low quality Google Ads leads for your business when at the end of the day, you just want more revenue? In this video, I'm gonna go over step by step how I help my client go from tracking bad leads to increasing their revenue to 140K plus. All right, as you can see from the date range of June 24th to November 30th, I increased the tracked revenue in the account 140K, increased leads as well here by half, kept conversion rate and increased impressions here. And as you go in the account, you can see that's a $300,000% increase in revenue tracked in the account, increased quality phone calls as well, and increased conversions 175%. Now, for an account like this, like I mentioned, the very first important thing to do is we need to be tracking our leads in our CRM. Because if we're not essentially telling Google who's going to convert, who's converting for our business, where the sales reps closing, we're always going to be optimizing for leads when we really want closed deals in revenue ultimately. So initially, a lot of the leads were form submits here from our landing page, which is okay initially when you have an account, but this account was more mature. So we had our keywords dialed in, we had uh, the forms, but we really wanted to take it to that next step and push so we could have website import clicks. So essentially, when we mark people as closed deals, as leads, we can then go and essentially have this automatically being imported back to Google with actual revenue from that closed deal. So you can see importing from clicks, and it's on average of the value of $400 or the specific value of that deal in the CRM. In this specific case, we were using What's Converts, but this works with basically any CRM. Some have direct integrations, others don't. But ultimately, when we essentially have a lead, we want to have within their data fields a Google Click ID associated with that person, because whenever someone clicks on an ad, they are going to get a Click ID associated with them. So when they fill out the form or call or anything like that, your CRM can track that person, the sales rep or you can upgrade the status of that person. Oh, if it wasn't a good quality lead, then it's never going to go as the imported clicks or converted people conversion that has revenue associated with it. But if that person does close, then it's now going to be marked as qualified or whatever your sales process is. And that revenue is going to be pushed back to Google so the bidding algorithms can then optimize off of it better. This is very, very critical with mature accounts that are spending like six figures or more, millions a year, because you're getting so much volume, you just can't test different campaigns and scale low quality leads. So that was the very first and most important thing to do for this account. Next thing was on the actual campaign structure. So initially, when this account was taken over, they had a very, very simple account structure of just like one or two search campaigns targeting both of our primary locations of Florida and Texas. So outside of the initial issue that I found out that we weren't integrating our CRM, even though we had a very systemized backend sales process, the client was wondering, okay, should we segment? Can we just target Florida? Do we really need Texas? So I essentially looked within the settings, which you can go here and review location settings and kind of see, okay, what is the conversion rate of these two locations? What's performing better, etc. You can see the split is pretty even, almost identical between Florida and Texas. So I recommend the client we keep both on just because they're both performing well. If Texas was lagging at all, really, then we could just focus more on Florida and try to scale that out. But that was the first initial thing of them trying to over segment the locations here. So we really didn't want to do that for any of the search campaigns overall. And then another thing, we had basically all of our keywords in a single ad group, which can be okay if we have a limited amount. But since we were testing so many different landing pages and these types of things, we had to be more structured with the keyword match type, which is can be exact match, which is the most exact type of word that person's putting in. Phrase match, which that keyword has to be within the parameters. So if someone's looking for doctor near me and someone puts like cheap in front of that and that's not a negative keyword, we can show up. Broad match, it can show up for a lot of different variations. So essentially, since we're spending so much and we're at scale, we had to just segment out the different types of landing pages, the different types of keywords, broad match, phrase match, or exact match, depending on how performance was. So just resegmenting the ad groups is very important in this case because it was just too simplistic for what we wanted, and we wanted to be able to optimize more. So different exact match, and different types of landing page, whether it's optimizing for calls or forms or a call focused landing page, we could put and test that in all these different ad group structures overall. Also, on top of that, this helped improve quality score. So quality score is essentially you paying less per click when your ads are more relevant to the users. The landing page experience is better and you convert higher, and your bid is more optimized. You tend to pay less, have a better quality score, and a better user experience. So segmenting these search campaigns into ad groups is very helpful for that. Outside of optimizing the ongoing search campaign, since this client really saw on the back end that calls performed a lot better, we broke out a budget for call only ads. So what call only ads essentially are is you focus on mobile only users and have a big standout phone number when that person sees the ad, who are more likely to call, and that person can directly call, go to the sales rep, and this just drives more calls overall. When we have it all within one campaign, it can dilute how many calls we're going to actually get. It's going to switch between forms and calls, and when we really want to push budget at a certain rate, you can see this just increased the conversion rate, increased conversions overall for this type of campaign, which is very valuable for this business. And also on the search campaigns, once we had the ad groups restructured and properly having testing cadences, we also wanted to do campaign level experiments. So within Google Ads, you can run experiments on a variety of different things, depending on the account maturity. If it's a brand new account, usually you want to test different bid strategies, this sort of thing. In our case, we had our bid strategies pretty much dialed in, where we're doing a target CPA, but we're also optimizing for revenue. So we wanted to test a lot of different landing pages the client had, whether it's optimizing for forms, optimizing for calls, changing different widgets, call to actions and titles. And before switching anything over, we always wanted to test. And it's good because if the client is trying to push a certain type of landing page and we're not sure about it and we test, you can see you don't want the losing landing page to be applied. In this case, a lot of these landing pages that the client had from the developer weren't beating our control. So that's very important to do before you just flip something over, especially when you're spending a lot. And Google can just tell you with statistical significance what is performing better, whether it's clicks in a confidence level. So certain things, so this was significant that we were getting more conversions from the control versus the experiment. So this is very important, regardless if you're doing search, display, anything like that. You always want to A/B test it, so you're not just going off of your gut. Okay, and next for our other type of campaign is Performance Max. So Performance Max specifically for lead generation is very dicey. It can generate a lot of low quality leads if you don't have your CRM integrated first. That's because essentially Performance Max has 7 different campaigns in one, where we have search, shopping, display, demand gen, YouTube, etc. in the Gmail platforms. So in the case of a Performance Max or a lead generation type of account, display specifically is bad for generating low quality leads, where you can get a lot of click farms. Even if you have stuff like click cease and these types of things, you're just going to see an increase if you don't have your CRM integrated. So once you have your CRM integrated, where you're only giving Google the qualified leads or closed deals as the signal of conversion, then you can go and test things like Performance Max. So as you can see here, we tested a wide variety of different types of asset groups, similar to how we did with essentially types of asset groups, and you can see the variety of different performance here on the account. So if you sort by revenue, conversion value, you can see certain types of asset groups are going to do better than others. And there's a wide variety of different testing cadences depending on the creative you have, the data that's in the account. But usually you want to test different types of audience signals or audiences you want to test. If and then keep creative relatively similar unless you have completely different personas. And then you can see what does better. So you can test remarketing warm audiences from cookied remarketing lists. You can test essentially search themes, which essentially Google will give you insights within here of what is the best performing theme in the account, what is trending the last X amount of days, so that you can essentially make inferences on what's going to perform better by search category. If there's something that's going to trend up soon, you can also create a theme off of that. So it allows Google not to waste budget testing broadly, but you can see exactly if this is going to perform better or not. So this is very helpful in the account because you not only want to get people when they're actively searching for your service, but you want to create demand similar to what you'd see on platforms like Meta or TikTok. You can create demand for your service and get people that are more in market or need this as well. So this helped scale the account a lot here. So we generated a good amount of revenue off of this to kind of help expand and scale the account. And lastly, on an account like this, you want to have very clear reporting. Reporting on weekly reporting on performance of leads, having some type of Looker Studio report that can tell the sales reps how many calls you're getting versus form fills. This is very important for this type of account. So that was the last thing that really helped us scale and increase revenue a ton during our season to generate more leads, revenue, and lower quality leads that were hurting this account a lot. If you'd like me to help you remove low quality leads and optimize your business for revenue, reach out for a free one-on-one consultation below.